Have you ever received a service so perfect, so attentive, that you realized you were no longer allowed to leave? Before we step into tonight's story, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, save this story, and turn on the bell so you never miss another archive. Trust me, you'll want to stay until the very end. Just the two of us. The security footage showed me riding the elevator alone. I remembered the man standing less than 3 feet away from me, wearing a grey coat and holding a paper coffee cup. On the recording, I kept turning toward an empty corner, as if someone were there. The security guard replayed the clip. The time appeared in white numbers at the bottom of the screen. The image had the washed-out color and slight fisheye distortion common to building cameras. The elevator looked wider than it felt in person. I watched myself enter through the opening doors. I tapped my access card against the reader. I selected my floor. Then I stepped to the right and looked back toward the lobby. That was when the man had entered. I remembered it clearly. He had approached at the last second, walking fast enough to suggest he did not want to wait for the next elevator. I had put one hand near the door sensor and shifted aside to give him room. He nodded in thanks. He always nodded. In the footage, the doors stayed open for 2 extra seconds. No one came through them. I moved farther into the elevator anyway, leaving a person-sized space beside me. Then I looked toward that space and gave a small nod. The doors closed. The elevator began to rise. "You were alone," the guard said. His name was Owen. I knew him from the front desk, though our conversations had never gone beyond good morning, have a nice night, and occasional complaints about access cards that stopped working. "That isn't possible," I said. Owen leaned closer to the monitor. No one else entered. He was right beside me. What did he look like? Mid-40s maybe? Grey coat? Dark hair. Canvas bag. Owen moved the recording back to the moment before I entered. People crossed the lobby behind me. A woman carrying a laptop walked toward the revolving doors. 2 men stood near the coffee kiosk. The stranger was not among them. Owen played the clip forward again. I entered. I waited. I made room. No one followed. "Maybe he took the elevator next to yours," Owen said. "He was in mine. You can see the car number here." He pointed to a small label in the corner of the footage. "This is car 3. "You said car 3. "I know." The recording continued. At the 9th floor, the doors opened. I turned toward the empty corner. In my memory, the man stepped past me. His coat brushed close enough that I felt the movement of air against my hand. He gave me another polite nod as he left. On the video, I stepped backward for no reason and watched an empty doorway. The doors closed. I continued to the 14th floor by myself. Owen paused the recording. "Is this the person you said might have taken your access card?" I looked down at the temporary badge on the desk between us. My own card had gone missing that morning. I had remembered reaching into my coat pocket after leaving the elevator and finding it empty. The stranger had stood closest to me, so when I reported the missing card, I mentioned him. I had not accused him of stealing it. I only thought he might have seen it fall. That was why Owen had agreed to check the camera. "He didn't take it," I said. "Not according to this. He was there." Owen's expression remained careful. People who work building security hear strange explanations. They learn how to listen without agreeing. "Could the camera have missed him?" I asked. "It covers the whole car." "Could the footage have skipped?" "The timer is continuous." "What about a corrupted frame?" "For the entire trip?" I did not answer. Owen closed the video window. "We'll deactivate your old card. If somebody tries to use it, the system will flag it. That isn't what I'm worried about now." He looked at the dark monitor. "What are you worried about?" I wanted to say the man. Instead, I said, "I don't know." Owen printed a form for the replacement badge. As I filled it out, he asked whether I had slept well. It was a reasonable question. "I'm fine," I said. He nodded but did not look convinced. I found my access card in my desk drawer that afternoon. It was lying beneath a packet of sticky notes. I did not remember putting it there, but I must have. I had been working late the night before and had probably removed it with my coat. I returned the temporary badge to the front desk. Owen held my original card beneath the light and checked the number. "So the mystery is solved," he said. "One of them." He looked at me. I did not explain. The next morning, the man was waiting near the elevators. He stood several feet behind me in the lobby, close to a column. His grey coat was buttoned to the throat. A dark canvas bag hung from one shoulder. He held a paper cup with a plain white lid. Seeing him in the open lobby should have relieved me. He was not a vague shape, glimpsed after a bad night's sleep. He was an ordinary person standing beneath bright ceiling lights. His hair was damp from the rain outside. A few dark strands clung to his forehead. The shoulders of his coat were speckled with water. I could smell coffee when he came closer. I looked toward the security desk. Owen was speaking to a delivery driver. His attention was on a clipboard. The elevator arrived. The doors opened, and I entered. The man followed, always after me. He took his usual position near the back right corner, close enough for the rules of elevator politeness to apply, but far enough that neither of us had to speak. I tapped my replacement access card. The man adjusted the strap of his bag. I watched him without turning my head fully. He seemed solid. His shoes had darkened where the rain had soaked the leather. The paper cup flexed slightly beneath his grip. A small line of steam escaped through the lid. He noticed me looking. Our eyes met for less than a second. He nodded. I nodded back. The elevator doors closed. The car rose with a soft, mechanical hum. The enclosed air smelled of damp wool, coffee, and the faint chemical scent of the cleaning product used on the metal walls. At the 9th floor, the elevator chimed. The doors opened. The man stepped out. Before the doors closed, he glanced back and nodded again. I continued upward. When I reached my floor, I went straight to the restroom. I locked myself in a stall and listened to my breathing. The encounter had lasted less than a minute. Nothing threatening had happened. The man had not spoken, touched me, or behaved strangely. The only strange thing was that a camera had not seen him. I returned to my desk and tried to work. At lunch, I went down to the security desk. Owen was there with another guard. "I need to see this morning's elevator footage," I said. Owen frowned. "Did something happen?" The man was there again. "What man? The one from yesterday?" The other guard looked between us. Owen lowered his voice. "We can't review footage every time you see someone in an elevator." He entered behind me. He got off on 9. "Did he threaten you?" "No." "Did he touch your card?" "No." "Then what are we checking, whether he's there?" Owen's expression tightened. "That isn't a security incident. He may be entering a restricted area without badging in." That changed the conversation. The building required an access card to pass the lobby gates and select office floors. Tailgating was a real concern. People received reminder emails about it several times a year. Owen asked for the approximate time and elevator number. "Car 3 again," I said. He opened the camera system. The other guard walked away, though not before giving me a brief look. Owen found the clip. There I was, alone. I entered the elevator and held the door. I shifted aside. I looked at the empty corner. I nodded. The doors closed. Owen fast-forwarded to the 9th floor. The car stopped. The doors opened. No one stood in the hallway. On the recording, I moved backward to let an invisible person pass. Then I watched the empty corridor and nodded once more. Owen paused the video. "Same thing," he said. He was carrying coffee. The camera would see that. His coat was wet. The camera would see that too. He left on 9. You stopped on 9. Because that's his floor. Owen checked another window on the system. The call came from 9. Someone there requested the elevator. Did they get in after he got out? No one entered. So why was the elevator called? Someone pressed the call button and walked away. It happens. I stared at the paused image. The empty corner was well lit. There was nowhere for the man to disappear into the background. The elevator walls were brushed steel, but the camera angle did not depend on reflections. It covered the floor from one upper corner to the opposite doors. The man should have filled part of the image. Instead, there was only me. Could someone alter the recording, I asked? Owen sat back. Why would anyone do that? I don't know. Who has access? Security staff and building management. Could you remove a person? No. Could someone above you? This isn't a movie. I know how it sounds. Do you? He said it without hostility. The question still stung. I thanked him and left. That afternoon, I searched the directory for companies on the 9th floor. There were 3, a consulting firm, a small accounting office, and a business that managed commercial leases. I had no reason to contact any of them. Calling to ask whether a man in a grey coat worked there would have sounded absurd. Instead, I went down during lunch the following day. The 9th floor elevator lobby looked like every other office lobby in the building. Neutral carpet, white walls, frosted glass doors, a framed print no one had chosen for any reason beyond matching the furniture. The receptionist at the consulting office greeted me. I described the man. Do you know his name? She asked. No. Which department? I don't know. Was he here for a meeting? I see him in the elevator. She gave a polite smile. A lot of people use these elevators. He gets off on this floor every morning. What time? Usually around 8:40. She checked a digital visitor schedule. No regular guest at that time. Could he work here? We have more than 60 employees. Gray coat, dark canvas bag, coffee cup. That describes half the building. She was right. I thanked her and tried the other 2 offices. No one recognized the description in any useful way. When I returned to the 14th floor, Leah from finance was waiting near my desk with a folder. She worked on the other side of the office. We spoke often enough to know the basic details of each other's routines, but not enough to spend time together outside work. You look like you've been interrogating people, she said. I'm looking for someone. Should I be concerned? No. She placed the folder on my desk. What kind of someone? I hesitated. A man I keep seeing in the elevator. That sounds less reassuring. He gets off on 9. Security says he doesn't show up on camera. Leah waited for me to smile. I did not. What do you mean he doesn't show up? Exactly that. Camera blind spot? There isn't one. Old footage? Live timestamp. Are you sure it's the right elevator? Yes. She looked toward the office entrance, where the elevator lobby lay beyond 2 glass doors. What does security think? They think I'm riding alone, and you don't? I know I'm not. Leah pulled out the chair beside my desk and sat. Have you spoken to him? No. Why not? People don't usually interview strangers in elevators. You went to 3 offices looking for him. That felt less strange at the time. She thought for a moment. Want me to ride up with you tomorrow? I agreed too quickly. The following morning, Leah met me in the lobby. She held a travel mug in one hand and her phone in the other. We stood beside the elevator bank while people moved around us. The man was not there. I checked near the columns, the coffee counter, and the lobby gates. You see him? Leah asked. Not yet. An elevator arrived. The doors opened. Leah and I entered with 2 other employees. No man followed. The cars stopped several times on the way up. By the time we reached 14, Leah looked relieved. Maybe he's running late, she said. Maybe. We tried again the next morning. Nothing. On the 3rd morning, Leah sent me a message saying she had an early meeting and could not wait. I entered the lobby alone. The man stood near the coffee counter. He had changed his tie. That detail made him feel more real than anything else. Until then, I had remembered a navy tie beneath his gray coat. That morning it was dark green with a narrow diagonal pattern. Everything else was the same. The canvas bag, the paper cup, the composed, mildly tired expression shared by people who commute at the same hour every day. I stopped near the elevator bank. He approached but did not stand beside me. He waited several feet back, respecting the invisible order of people who had arrived before him. The elevator opened. I entered. He followed, always after. I did not hold the door this time. The sensor kept it open long enough for him to pass. He took his place in the back corner. I turned toward him directly. "Morning," I said. He looked at me. Then he nodded. No words. I had expected him to answer automatically. Most people would. Even a distracted person might offer a quiet "morning" in return. His silence did not feel rude. It felt practiced. The elevator began to rise. I watched the floor numbers change above the doors. I could feel him behind me without looking. The small space seemed organized around the fact that two people were inside it. At 9, the doors opened. He stepped out. I said, "Have a good one." He glanced back. Another nod. The doors closed. I called Leah as soon as I reached my desk. "He was there today." "The gray coat guy?" "Yes." "Did you talk to him?" I said, "Good morning." "And?" He nodded. "That's it?" "That's it." So he acknowledged you. I already knew he could see me. Maybe ask his name next time. I pictured doing that. The intimacy of the question felt wrong. We had spent weeks building a normal elevator relationship based on saying nothing. Breaking that agreement seemed more difficult than confronting strangers at their offices. "I'll try," I said. That evening, I asked Owen to preserve the morning footage as part of the tailgating report. He reviewed it without me and emailed a short response. No unauthorized individual visible. No evidence of tailgating. I asked whether the video showed me speaking. His reply arrived several minutes later. "You appear to say something after entering. No audio is recorded." I read the sentence several times. "You appear to say something." Not, "You greeted another passenger." Not, "Someone entered behind you." Only me, moving my mouth in an empty elevator. I began changing my commute time. On Monday, I arrived 40 minutes early. The lobby was quiet. The coffee kiosk had only just opened. A cleaner polished the stone floor near the entrance. The man came through the revolving doors behind me. His hair was dry. He carried the same canvas bag but no coffee. He entered the elevator after me. He got off before me. On Tuesday, I arrived 20 minutes late. He was waiting near the elevator bank. On Wednesday, I entered through the parking garage instead of the main lobby. He joined me at the garage elevator. The gray coat was unbuttoned. Beneath it, he wore a pale blue shirt. He nodded as though neither of us had changed our routine. On Thursday, I waited for a crowded elevator. 8 people entered. The man stepped in last. He stood near the doors, shoulder to shoulder with 2 employees from another floor. No one adjusted their stance to make room for him. That seemed impossible until I noticed there was already a narrow space between them. He occupied it carefully, without touching either person. At the 6th floor, several passengers exited. At the 9th, he left. No one looked at him. I asked the person beside me, "Do you know that guy?" "What guy?" "The one who just got off." She looked through the closing doors. There were 2 people. I had seen 3. "A man in a gray coat," I said. "I didn't notice. That was not proof." People ignore strangers in elevators. It is almost a rule. On Friday, I asked Leah to ride down with me at lunch. We took the elevator to the lobby, bought coffee, and waited to go back up. The man appeared near the doors. There, I whispered. Where? Grey coat, by the column. Leah looked directly at him. Her gaze passed over his face and moved toward the lobby entrance. I don't see a grey coat. He's walking toward us. A car arrived. The doors opened. Leah stepped inside. I followed. The man entered after me. He stood in the back corner. I positioned myself beside Leah, so we were both facing him. What do you see? I asked quietly. An elevator, in the corner, a handrail. The man looked at me. His expression did not change. Leah lowered her voice further. Is he in here now? Yes. Where? I pointed. The man's eyes followed my hand. Leah stared at the space where his chest should have been. She showed no recognition. That corner is empty, she said. The elevator stopped on 5. A passenger exited. The man remained. At 9, the doors opened. He stepped around us. I moved my foot backward to give him room. Leah did not move. The man passed within inches of her shoulder. She did not react. His coat did not touch her. He turned slightly, avoiding contact the way anyone would in a narrow space. Then he left. The doors closed. Leah watched my face. You saw him get out? Yes. I saw nobody. He walked right past you. I'm not messing with you. I know. The rest of the ride was silent. When we reached 14, Leah asked whether I had spoken to a doctor. The question felt like an accusation, even though she asked gently. I'm not hallucinating, I said. I didn't say that. You don't see him. The camera doesn't see him. I know what that sounds like. I'm worried about you. He smells like coffee. Leah's expression tightened. What? And wet wool when it rains. His shoes leave marks on the floor. He changes ties. He moves around people. He is there. Okay, don't say it like that. Like what? Like you're trying to keep me calm. The elevator doors remained open behind us. Leah stepped into the hallway. I don't know what you want me to say. Say you believe me. I believe that you see him. That was not the same thing. We both knew it. I returned to the security desk. Owen resisted at first, but the tailgating report had now been sent to building management. Since I claimed the same unauthorized person had appeared again, he had to add notes to the file. We reviewed the lunch footage. Leah and I entered the elevator. No one followed. On the video, I looked toward the back corner and spoke. Leah turned toward me. I pointed at empty air. At the 9th floor, the doors opened. I stepped aside. Leah stayed still. I watched nothing leave. The doors closed. Owen paused the recording. This is becoming a pattern, he said. I know. I don't mean the man. I looked at him. You keep interacting with someone who isn't on the footage. He was there. Your coworker says no one was there. She couldn't see him. Why can you? I don't know. Owen's tone softened. Have you been under a lot of stress? No more than usual. Sleeping? Not enough now. Any new medication? No. Vision problems? He isn't a blur. I can see him clearly. I'm not qualified to tell you what this is. Neither am I. Owen closed the footage. Maybe talk to someone who is. I left without arguing. That night, I wrote down everything I knew about the man. Approximate age, height, hair color, clothing, bag, coffee. 9th floor. He entered after me. He exited before me. He never spoke. He always nodded. I tried to describe his face. That was harder. I knew it when I saw it, but I could not create a precise image in my mind. His features were ordinary, not blank or blurred. Simply difficult to separate from the idea of a person I passed every day. I could remember the lines near his eyes, the straight bridge of his nose, the slight unevenness in his dark hair. Yet when I tried to draw him, the face looked wrong. I searched the employee directory again. Hundreds of profile photographs appeared. None matched him. Several almost did. That disturbed me more. I slept badly and woke before my alarm. For a week I used the stairs. My office was 14 floors above the lobby. The climb took time, but I preferred arriving tired to seeing the man. He did not appear in the stairwell. I began to relax. Then I saw him through the glass. I was climbing past the 9th floor landing when the elevator doors across the lobby opened. The man stepped out. He turned toward the office corridor. Before walking away, he looked through the fire door window directly at me. The stairwell light hummed above my head. The man nodded. Then he continued down the hallway. I pulled open the fire door. The 9th floor lobby was empty. I checked both directions. No gray coat, no canvas bag, no sound except the elevator doors closing behind me. I pressed the call button and rode the rest of the way up. The next morning, he was in the elevator again. He wore the navy tie. I had begun recording audio on my phone before entering the lobby. I kept the device in my coat pocket with the microphone exposed. When the elevator arrived, I stepped inside. The man followed. I said nothing. The doors closed. The recording would capture the chime, the hum, our breathing, and the faint movement of his coat. At 9, he exited. I listened to the file at my desk. I heard the lobby noise, the elevator chime, my footsteps, the doors sliding shut, then the low mechanical sound of ascent. Only one set of footsteps had entered. Only one person seemed to breathe. At the 9th floor, the doors opened. There was a small rustle in the recording. I thought it might be his coat until I realized it was my own sleeve moving as I stepped back. No second footsteps left the car. I increased the volume. There was nothing. I recorded the next ride. And the next. The man appeared in both. The files contained only me. I set my phone on a shelf inside the elevator one morning so the camera would face the back corner. I pretended I needed both hands to adjust my bag. The man watched me place it there. For the first time, his expression showed something like curiosity. I started the video. He stood directly in front of the camera. The elevator rose. He looked at the phone, then at me. At 9, he left. The video showed an empty corner. My own body occupied the left side of the frame. I kept glancing toward the right. At one point, I smiled politely at no one. The camera had not distorted the space. It had recorded the wall, handrail, floor, and ceiling without interruption. The man simply was not part of the image. I stopped taking recordings. They were not helping. Each one removed him more completely while leaving my reaction behind. Without him, my behavior looked wrong. I began avoiding eye contact during the rides. I faced the doors and watched the floor indicator. Still, I felt the exact moment he looked at me. I knew when he adjusted his bag. I knew when he lifted the coffee cup. I knew when he shifted his weight as the elevator slowed. Those details became a private language between us. He had moved beyond familiar. I could predict him. On rainy days, the shoulders of his coat were wet. On Mondays, he carried coffee. Near the end of the week, he looked more tired. He wore the green tie twice a month. Once, there was a faint dark stain near the cuff of his shirt. The next day, it was gone. He became as much a part of my commute as the elevator chime. That familiarity frightened me more than his absence from the footage. I worried there would come a morning when I stopped checking whether he was real. I worried I would simply accept him. One day, I entered the elevator and moved aside before he appeared. He stepped through the doors a second later. His mouth curved into a small smile. Not gratitude. Recognition. I had saved his place. The realization stayed with me all day. That evening, I decided I would confront him. I planned simple questions. What is your name? Which company do you work for? Why can't anyone else see you? The third question was too direct. I told myself to begin with the first. The next morning, he entered behind me. I turned before the doors closed. What's your name? I asked. He looked at me. His expression remained pleasant. Then he nodded. That was all. Do you work on 9? Another nod. Which office? He glanced toward the floor indicator. The conversation was over. At 9 he left. I did not follow. A normal person might refuse to speak to a stranger in an elevator. His silence proved nothing. That was the problem with everything he did. Every action was reasonable by itself. The impossible part existed only when all of it was placed beside the recordings. I took several days off work. I did not tell anyone why. At home, I slept. I cooked. I walked through familiar neighborhoods and spent time in places without elevators. I saw no sign of the man. By the final day, I had almost convinced myself the distance would break the pattern. When I returned to work, he was waiting inside the lobby. He stood near the elevator bank with no coat. He wore the pale blue shirt and navy tie. The canvas bag rested against one shoe. He looked as if he had been there for a long time. I passed through the access gate. His eyes followed me. The elevator arrived. I considered letting it go. The man waited. For the first time, neither of us entered. The doors remained open. After several seconds, they began to close. I put my hand near the sensor. They opened again. I stepped inside. The man followed, always after. I selected 14. He took his place in the corner. The doors closed. At 9, they opened. He left. Always before. The routine had resumed. That afternoon, building management contacted me. The tailgating investigation had found no unauthorized access. My report would be closed unless I could provide new evidence. Attached was a written summary. It stated that security had reviewed 12 elevator trips over several weeks. In every clip, I entered alone or with verified building occupants. No unidentified individual matching my description appeared. The report included a sentence I read repeatedly. The reporting employee frequently appears to acknowledge or accommodate a person not visible in the elevator car. I closed the email. Leah found me sitting at my desk after most of the office had left. "You okay?" she asked. They closed the report. "Maybe that's good. It says I interact with someone who isn't there." She sat in the chair beside me. "I'm sorry. What do you think is happening?" "I don't know. You must think something." She rubbed one thumb against the edge of her phone. "I think you should stop riding alone." The suggestion was kind. It also meant she believed the problem was me. For the next week, I timed my commute so other people would be inside the elevator. The man still appeared. No one saw him. Sometimes he stood among 3 or 4 passengers. Sometimes he occupied the narrow space beside me. He never touched anyone. I watched people move around him without knowing why they were moving. A shoulder turned. A bag shifted. A person stepped half an inch aside. Perhaps they did sense him. Perhaps people constantly adjusted their bodies in small ways, and I only noticed when those movements made room for the man. I could no longer tell. Then he began standing closer to me, not close enough to be threatening, only familiar, the distance between coworkers who have shared the same commute for years. I could see small fibers on his coat. I could hear the paper lid of his coffee cup click when he pressed it. Once, when the elevator started too quickly, he reached toward the handrail. His fingers closed around the metal. I heard a faint tap. Later, I checked the security footage. The handrail did not move. There was no shadow. No hand, only me, turning at the sound. I decided to make one final recording. I arranged it with Owen in advance. He no longer wanted to participate, but I framed the request as a way to conclude the issue. One monitored ride. Precise time. Car 3. Owen would watch live from the security desk. I would record audio on my phone. If the man appeared, I would speak to him. If Owen saw nothing and the phone captured nothing, I would stop asking security for help. I did not say what I would do after that. The next morning, I entered the lobby at the agreed time. Owen was visible behind the security desk. He looked at me, then at his monitor. Car 3 arrived. The doors opened. I stepped inside. The man entered behind me. He wore the grey coat and green tie. His hair was neatly combed. He carried coffee in one hand and the canvas bag over his shoulder. I looked toward the security camera. Its small indicator light was on. The man followed my gaze. He knew I was watching it, or he seemed to. The doors closed. I could feel my phone recording inside my coat. The elevator began to rise. For several floors, neither of us spoke. Then the man turned toward me. His expression was warmer than usual. The restrained smile of someone finally deciding that repeated familiarity justified conversation. He spoke for the first time. "Quiet again," he said. "Just the two of us." His voice was ordinary. Low, slightly tired, polite. The sort of comment a stranger makes because silence has become more awkward than speech. I nodded automatically. "Looks that way," I said. The man smiled. At 9, the elevator chimed. The doors opened. He stepped out. Before leaving, he looked back at me. "See you tomorrow." The doors closed. I remained in the elevator until 14. Owen called before I reached my desk. "Come down," he said. I took another elevator to the lobby. The man did not appear. Owen had the footage ready. We watched in silence. I entered car 3 alone. I moved aside after crossing the threshold. The doors stayed open for 2 seconds. No one followed. I looked toward the empty corner. For several floors, I stood without moving. Then I turned my head. My expression softened, as if someone had spoken to me. I nodded. My lips formed the words, "Looks that way." At the 9th floor, the doors opened. I stepped back to let empty air pass. I watched the empty hallway. My face changed again as I listened to something the camera could not record. The doors closed. Owen paused the video. "You said he spoke?" "Twice." "What did he say?" "Just the two of us. Then he said he'd see me tomorrow." Owen looked at the empty corner. "Do you have the audio?" I took out my phone. The recording began with lobby noise and the elevator chime. My footsteps entered the car. The doors closed. The motor hummed. There was a long stretch of silence. No second breath. No rustle of a coat. No coffee lid clicking beneath a thumb. At the point where the man had turned to me, the recording contained 6 quiet seconds. Then my voice said, "Looks that way." More silence followed. The elevator chimed at 9. The doors opened. My sleeve moved as I stepped backward. No footsteps left. No voice said, "See you tomorrow." The doors closed. Owen stopped the recording. Neither of us spoke. There was no greeting on the recording, only my reply. Some services never stop running, and some routines never end. If this story sent a chill down your spine, don't leave yourself in the dark. Subscribe now, click that bell, and check out the full playlists on my channel for more strange and unrelenting tales. The next file is already waiting for you.